Hello and
Hello,
welcome to another YouTube. Oh yeah,
you can go ahead.
I will
It's
say
the first time when
that.
we did not have this practice, but since you please do the opening.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to another YouTube live. See, me and Doi, we often get caught up in who will start the episode. But right now what we are getting caught up is the transfer window, and I myself am dedicating a lot of hours every day of my useful time, of my youthful exuberance that I should not be. But yeah, here we are discussing the transfer window, and we have got a Chelsea fan in the house. Rahul is here with us. Rahul, सो खुश तो बहुत होगे तुम इतने सारे प्लेयर्स बेच
Yeah,
दिए
yeah.
निकोलस जैक्सन आ रहे
Yeah,
हैं
I
एंड
am very happy.
other players other players are coming in. So yeah, Rahul, I'll start the episode with you. So what do you think, man, with Benjamin Mendy and Koulibaly being sold for around 35 million, Hakim Ziyech for around 8 million, uh, N'Golo Kante going in the Saudi League, Havertz being sold for 65, Mount potentially for 55, 60 million himself. Chelsea might get 200 million pounds out of these sales only, with the
Yeah,
prospect of players like Christian Pulisic, Hudson Odoi, and Cesar Azpilicueta also to go. So, like, how do you see Chelsea investing this money after the acquisition of Nicolas Jackson and who else have they gotten? They have got one more player, right? Like, I think they have got
Yeah,
one.
there's one midfielder from Brighton as well. I can't recall
Yeah,
his name, but there is a
yeah,
midfielder from Brighton as well.
exactly.
So
So,
I
like,
think like the club actually needed this kind of clear up because obviously like we are not playing Champions League, we are not even in the Europe next season. So I think it was good for the players and uh, to like find a new destination. Obviously, like I did not prefer Saudi for reasons we know. Like as a football fan, that's not a league that is competitive enough. But
mm,
they would get the playing time. Like if you see the goalkeeping situation, Mendy is a phenomenal world class goalkeeper, but
mm.
Kepa is a goalkeeper. I've been a fan of him for a very long time. Like I thought he is someone who can be the number one for Spain as well, but he lacked confidence. That's something he
And a
has
very good
always lost.
manager also.
Yeah,
Mm.
he can make managerial decision as well. And for the defense, I think Chelsea has very good young bloods. And I think if there is Koulibaly, there is Thiago Silva. I think he's also leaving in a year or so, or he has left this year. I can't recall it, but I think that is necessary for the young blood to perform. And the transfer window Chelsea had last year, I think the team became very much saturated. So there were no room for big players to play. So I think overall, I think this would give a fresh breath of air for the whole club and for the old and young to balance out.
Right. How do you think this is very smart business from Chelsea's side, or do you think there's some conspiracy brewing here?
yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I haven't followed the game for long enough to understand what smart business and what conspiracy theories clubs can indulge themselves into. But for this YouTube live specifically, I really did go through certain whatever Chelsea transfer news we are coming up. Those are some big numbers that you mentioned. 200 million already in reaching for them to in terms of the money that they have got to sell their players. I get distracted because this sticker says help us reach 100 subscribers, but we have already reached there probably. So that's a good within a couple of weeks of us doing this YouTube live. It's been nice. Couple of things that I wanted to say. First up, I remember Rahul opening his sentence by mentioning, Chelsea are not playing the Champions League next season, which is starting in 3 months. Which also, Anukas, you will remember of our episode with Almighty Blues Ankit Rana, where and of course what he shared about Chelsea made just so much sense. And as far as the players are concerned, I was looking forward to like I saw what Koulibaly mentioned. From my first game to my last, it was an honor to wear this badge. Last season wasn't the one where like how we wanted, but I want to thank the fans and everyone at the club for your support. Chelsea, I feel, is in a bit of a conundrum. We don't know where they are heading. We don't know where the last couple of seasons have been like. So it's like a tricky situation for them. And Anukar sir, I feel it's a complete revamp from their side. How do you
Right.
see this entire thing panning out, and what do you think? What is going to be Chelsea's performances on and off the ground in the next 6 months, owing to this, क्या बोलूं मैं, profligate transfer window that they've had?
I mean, honestly, like, however, no matter however they have got it by hook or crook, I don't know what's exactly happening in the background. Chelsea have done FIFA-like business, honestly, in terms of selling and absolutely getting those players. And I mean, it's great to see like players like Christopher Nkunku coming in, Nicolas Jackson. I think it will just transforms the front line. And I think Chelsea, if you look at it, have got good midfielders. Caicedo is someone. I think yeah, that was the one Rahul was talking about. Caicedo, someone who might join very soon. Now, if you look at the midfield of say Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, and then you have and then you have got players like Nicolas Jackson coming in and other players. Then you just can see a transformation is in process. You can see a lot of changes are happening there. And what I feel is that last time Chelsea tried out with a lot of players, with a lot of changes here and there, especially in the January transfer window. I think this is the season when things are going to come to fruition, and we are going to see Chelsea as a really transformed side, and one which could be a massive, massive force in Europe in the largest scheme of things. Because if you look at it, they've got all the money in the world. They have got all the attraction in the world with the players they are getting in. And with the owner they have, I think the sky is the limit for Chelsea right now, honestly.
Yeah, it's. I feel one question that I wanted to ask Rahul, because he's a Chelsea fan out here. I was recently watching a documentary called The Last Dance, which is basically on Michael Jordan's stay with
Yeah.
the Chicago Bulls. And I don't know a lot about basketball. I'm just learning. And why I mention this is because their player draft thing is very unique in the sense that the
Yeah,
bottom
yeah,
place
yeah.
Right.
teams get the first choice to
Get the
get the
first
players.
draft pick. Yeah.
Yeah, that so that kind of thing. The reason I make this analogy is because Rahul,
Maybe off again.
what
Nothing, nothing, nothing. My own show. Yeah, yeah. So my sister actually entered my room. So yeah.
okay,
Anyway, yeah. Carry on,
so
yeah.
of course the IFP transfer talks is so interesting that everyone from Anukar's house also wants to be a part of it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
But yeah, returning to what I wanted to ask Rahul, where being a Chelsea fan all these years, I still do you think this transfer window is a bit unique? Of course, it has to be. They just got 200 million in
Yeah.
probably three or four players. But as a Chelsea fan, is it more worrying कि भाई ये क्या कर रहे हैं? Or given the last 2-3 seasons that you've had, you guys are just happy कि चलो so many changes now we can expect something positive out of it.
The thing is, as a fan, I was very much skeptical last year because so many new players that the same thing happened with Nottingham Forest as well. Like they face the same problem. They like football for me is a team sports, and for all of us, like it's not just 11 good players just running around with the ball. It's a team game, and they should have the chemistry. And I don't think Chelsea got the chemistry. First of all, their managerial decisions, like Tuchel even spotted this out. Even the managers don't get to meet the players. They don't get to choose whoever they are buying. He issued this thing, and also like Pochettino, he's also. I read a few tweets on this thing. Poch wants to keep Kepa in the goal, but Chelsea are moving forward to buy Mignon. So
Hmm.
I think the managerial like it is not very much stable. I think they have to believe in the team first, because if we go back a couple of years, Tammy Abraham's case, I think he did a phenomenal job as a number 9 in
Yeah,
that season where there
absolutely.
was transfer embargo. But next season they just sold him for Timo Werner, and we know Timo Werner. I don't think we should doubt regarding his talent, but I think faith from the manager, faith from the board, I think that is very necessary, and that's something Chelsea needs right now. We have a enough, like we have a good enough pool of players. Like we have like 2-3 players per spot, and that's a luxury for a lot of teams, and 2-3 players who can be world class. So that's our luxury as a Chelsea fan. But I think the faith of the managers and the faith of the board, that's something we have to gain rather than the money moves. Like even as a Chelsea fan, I'm very disheartened that Mason Mount is going. Like he was a
Yeah.
Lampard figure of modern era for me. Like I loved Mason Mount. He is going. Havertz's playing style was very good. Like I loved him as a number 10, a second striker. He was never Chelsea's striking option for sure. Like he did not have that much physical capability to be a striker. But as a number 10, as a second striker, shadow striker, I think he did a phenomenal job. So I am very much disheartened. Like seeing that they are growing.
Rahul, have a question for me. Like, since you're a Chelsea fan,
Yeah.
so Kai Havertz, for that matter, like as much as I've seen him, and I might be really wrong. I see him as a number 10, but like I remember in his Bayern Leverkusen days, he was really good when it came to scoring goals and creating those assists. But what I've kind of observed with him in the Premier League is that although he has posted in with those goals, he hasn't had that really creative sort of capacity,
Yeah.
just to make those world class passes. Now, if you don't play him as a number 9, like suppose, because I think he's going to end up at Arsenal anytime soon, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
So look,
yes.
now that he doesn't play as a number 9 who is there out there going scoring goals, and as a 10, if he's not creating those chances, he isn't that fast to be a winger in the left or the right wing. So how do you see him actually playing or operating in a system that can help him immensely as a player and help his team, whichever he is playing, Chelsea or Arsenal with?
The thing is, if first of all, like, I don't understand the game as much as the managers do, but if I were the manager, I would play like a 4-2-3-1 for Kai Havertz. Like, if he's the main
Hmm.
man and the one attacking midfielder, I think he can do a phenomenal job, but he needs a striker in front of him. Like, he
Hmm.
cannot do the job as a solo one. He needs someone whom he would feed the balls and who would feed the balls to him. So I think he can do a good job as a attacking midfielder or even as a second striker, but not as a solo striker. That's where he kind of lacks his creative spark. And if you talk about solo striker systems, I don't think anyone can be as creative. Like, if even if we talk about Spurs in the past 2 seasons, like Harry Kane has been creative because he has two mans. Kulusevski is playing phenomenally. Son is doing great. But before that, Tottenham used to play him as a solo striker, and there was no wingers, but Son and there was Lucas Moura, I guess, in right midfield and left midfield. So they would like drop behind him and they would feed him the ball. So even in that
Right.
past 3-4 seasons, we did not see any creative play for him, but he's like banging assist every day. Like, he's scoring goals and giving so many assists. Like, in the previous season, he even had a hat trick of assists against, I guess, I don't remember the team, but Harry Kane is doing a phenomenal creative job as well. So I think it's more of the system rather than his playing capability. I think he still has it in him. He just needs like the system that might revolve around him.
So do
Another,
And
you?
also, like,
Uh,
yeah,
uh,
one thing that I wanted to make over here is while we definitely speak about every player individually and all the knowledge that Rahul has for his favorite team, but on a I just love how he said, I don't have as much knowledge as the managers. Most, self-acclaimed football fans think they know
yeah.
nobody
Yeah.
knows better than them about the game. So that's just nice to see the
I
humble
mean,
side.
though I think that's just almost an anti-national sort of remark from Rahul, because every Indian I know is like, कि भाई मुझे सब पता है, मैं master हूँ, मैं वो हूँ. So I,
Yeah,
at this
really.
point, I
But
haven't seen a lot of people like that. But though I'll
yeah.
come to you here. So like जैसे आज, since you have been more inclined to cricket all these years. So I would ask you that, do you think Chelsea are gonna make a Netherlands sort of a comeback, like they did like they did today,
Yeah, I mean, you just never know.
against the West Indies?
I don't follow a lot of cricket these days, to be honest. A lot of ever since I've come to Mumbai, which was like 6 to 7 months ago, I've the least followed sport from my side has become cricket, which is good and bad in both ways. But I feel Chelsea overall, I am again, like, I won't claim as if I know a lot about it, because unlike Rahul's case, I really know very little about it. But I was going through the entire Chelsea lineup during the transfers and where do the futures of certain players lie. Christian Pulisic, the American player,
American, yeah.
he's waiting for his further confirmation as to what is next in his story. Lukaku, Conor Gallagher are also in a state of uncertainty heading into the
Hudson
month.
Odoi even.
Yeah, exactly. So we just don't know, and especially just imagine for a moment you are part of the Chelsea setup as a player, right? You have seen probably four to five big names going to other clubs right
That's
now.
why I'm wearing blue today.
Exactly. Even I tried to wear blue, but then there's so much rains over here. They made it dark blue. But no, I'm just kidding. But anyway, just if anyone is
Rahul
watching
must be
this,
wondering, dumb and dumber so when it
Well,
comes to Jose and the football
like
podcast.
to be very honest, like I enjoy these kind of podcasts. Like I am enjoying the whole thing right now, and I'm very camera shy, as I told like a couple of days back. But I'm very much enjoying this whole thing.
Great to
you,
know that. Carry on,
yeah,
bhai, carry on. Yeah.
it's just,
Carry on.
I mean, definitely. I was just making a small point on how certain Chelsea players would be feeling right now. They are seeing four to five players around them moving to big clubs, and mind you, even though for all these flag that Lukaku gets, he's like a 31-year-old Belgian international who is one of the top players. I mean, he's not moving to Saudi because I guess the story goes around like he had asked for higher wages and that got declined from the Saudi Pro League. So interesting what's next, what lies ahead for Chelsea. I just feel that players like Angolo Kante, who has also made for the exit door to the Saudi Pro League after his contract wasn't renewed, what Chelsea is doing right now, I don't think anyone outside the Chelsea thinking doors, and maybe even those inside the club, can say whether it's right or wrong, as just by looking at how things are right now. It does not matter. I feel for all the my years of following sport, the solution for most clubs, for most management, is inside and not outside. No matter the number of players you bring inside or the number of players you sell, you need to probably come up with a recipe that works for you. And I remember Chelsea defeating Manchester City in the UCL final just couple of years ago. So and so much has changed for the Blues team since that time. I really don't feel, if you ask my gut feeling, I just don't feel that they are going to solve all their problems. All of their problems, challenges that they had is going to disappear in thin air. But overall, I'm just excited to see what lies ahead for them.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Interesting purview on things. Rahul, I would like to ask you a question. How does it feel being a Chelsea fan, having some transfer window every day? Because as a Liverpool fan, I get one exciting transfer update in 1 month कि एक 19 साल का player बिक गया या फिर कोई 18 years का बंदा link हो रहा है. That's all I get. So like, how does it feel? Where every day is exciting, something new is coming every day. How does it feel like, as a Chelsea fan in the transfer window?
I wish I can say it feels really good, but I think it just proves the how unstable the club's management is. Like I was calculating, like I think there are two players, Kepa and Reece James, except all of them. Like if you make a dream 11 for Chelsea right now, I think you have to add like 7 or 8 new players that came in the span of these 2 years. So that kind of explains how unstable this club's management is. Like if you even see the defense, Fofana and there is the new guy from I think Brighton or some club. I don't
Kukurea,
remember his name.
Kukurea,
Yeah,
Mark
yeah, yeah,
Kukurea.
yeah. Also, no, Cucurella, not Cucurella. Like, if you see
I
the
love
dream
his
lineup of
hairstyle, bro.
Chelsea,
Levi Colville.
yeah, I think like they have a very unstable management, and I would be very glad to see these players coming, but at what point they're coming, that's kind of frightening me. Even like Nkunku, like he like teared the Bundesliga apart, to be honest, with his creative flair, but I'm very afraid what he would do in Chelsea, because there's the same thing happened with many more players that came, like the example I was giving, Timo Werner's example. He was one of the poster boys of Bundesliga, but as soon as he came, it's like the number 9 curse of Chelsea, and this much pressure, this big of a fan base, it's a hard thing to do. So like I don't expect instant success, and like it's a Pochettino project, so I think it would take like more than a couple of years, but I have high hopes from these teams. That's
But
something I can
do
say.
you think Chelsea will keep Pochettino for that longer time? Because Chelsea have been very, I would say,
That's not
decisive
Chelsea's
when it
fault.
comes to firing managers.
They need like instant result. That's the thing has been happening for a couple of years now, that they need instant results. But I think they should keep it, because Poch is someone I think who longs for like long commitments. He's not someone who would do like some short term project and move on from that club. So I have massive hopes from his management, I would say.
Fair enough. So though like Chelsea have been linked to players like Victor Osimhen also, who at Napoli has been an absolute phenomenal this season.
Absolutely.
So do you think like getting a player like him is the need of that? Or do you think they need to invest in their defense more, considering the number of goals they shipped last season?
Yes, I feel whenever a team goes to a transfer window, I just wish I could be a fly in the wall, as they say, inside the dressing room or inside the offices where all these important decisions are being made. Uh,
Yeah,
Osimhen,
our
I
total
heard
at
a lot.
IP would really grow, after if that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just feel that again, it's similar to where I what I said last time around. It's uh, with the amount of transfers that Chelsea has already done in this season. I won't be surprised if suddenly a Victor Osimhen type of a news comes in as well. But interestingly, again, I feel in my brief experience of going through transfer windows and all, it's really difficult to see what team does in isolation, because it is also in conjunction with what all clubs around them are selling and buying in terms of players. Players like we have spoken a lot about Havertz going to Arsenal, but Mateo Kovacic, another Chelsea player, he's also moving to Manchester City now. For me, I feel as someone who is so much into numbers and stories around football, it is interesting to see what Mateo Kovacic goes and brings for Manchester City. If Pep
Absolutely.
Guardiola, if Pep Guardiola has been able to unearth something and Kovacic contributes for the current, Premier League champions, the team that just pulled off the treble, it is more, everyone in Chelsea will also feel that sting that players, when they were in with us, we could not find that extra mile where the player could go and perform in a certain way. So I mean, as far I don't really have the answers when not only for Chelsea, when any other club, if someone else comes and asks me if they should do this or if they should do that, I just love going into the empirical data and watching what has worked for players, what has worked for teams, and how can those teams really bring along players who fit into their overall jigsaw puzzle. Don't just bring a puzzle just because it's a nice puzzle and it looks good on the wall, to have everyone saying that I have this puzzle in my team. It should just make sense, and I'm really hoping for that to happen for Chelsea.
Interesting point you talked about Mateo Kovacic because what happened is that around it like 7 8 years back, Mateo Kovacic was a very good attacking midfielder playing for Inter. Now
Okay.
Real bought him at that point of time, and Liverpool were also linked with him that time. And the thing with him is he was a sort of a player who would get past players, be that creative spark in that Inter midfield. And at Real, they kind of signed him as an attacking midfielder. But what
Yes.
happened is that he didn't really get a lot of chance at Real because, of course, there's a lot of competition there. And
Yes.
at Chelsea, he has very much played as a player, that who has provided those legs in midfield, right? But
Yeah.
he has that striking ability. He has that creative spark in him, and it has been rumored that Pep Guardiola might use him as an attacking midfielder for Manchester City, which is an interesting
Oh.
point because it makes him go back to his Inter days where he used to glide past players, do all those tricks. And I think that could be something which could prove potentially to be a masterstroke. What happens with it is something we don't really know. But before I wrap this up, Rahul, I'll come to you here before I go to Doi. What do you think Chelsea exactly need from this transfer window and to make it a 10 on 10 transfer window? And do you think they will get it?
I think if Chelsea has to buy a player, I think I would go for a defensive minded player because Kante is already gone, and he whatever he did to Chelsea, I think he transformed the whole team. He was a
Hmm.
anchor midfielder. He dropped down. Made the Chelsea always had the attacking fullbacks, and he dropped down. He made a three-back system whenever it was attacking. So I think Chelsea needs a player like this because Enzo somewhat is a box-to-box midfielder. He likes to go forward. He's not someone who would drop down that much, and I think that would hinder his playing style. So I would go for someone who is somewhat defensive. That would make the transfer into 10 on 10 for me because Chelsea has enough attacking options. I don't think they need to go for anyone else right now. And Osimhen transfer seems a little bit vague right now because obviously we are not in Europe.
Yeah.
Not not even the Conference League. So and he is very much linked with Bayern right now. So I can see that happening. So if Chelsea gets a defensive minded player who can drop down, who has like Busquets, Conte kind of player, I think that makes it a window of 10 on 10.
Interesting. Parting thoughts, Doi?
I feel again, Chelsea as a team, this current, even if like what is today, 26th June, and the final date is 30th June, I guess, right? To submit
Hey,
all
July,
your.
I guess.
Oh, 30th July. Yes, of course. I meant July only. Now, when we go forward, and even for the next 34 days, if Chelsea does not make any new signings, if Chelsea do not sell any other players, we can't really say if it's a 4 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 right now. 3 months down the line, it can be either a 4 out of 10 transfer window or a 10 out of 10 transfer window. It all depends on how they feel they have been. Even though I feel it's slightly incomplete, Chelsea will go forward and buy someone, and I completely agree with Rahul in their defensive line because the numbers do reveal a story. So Chelsea would definitely want someone who can hold the game in their back line, and that will at least may help make them competitive in some way. As Rahul mentioned, we are not even Chelsea isn't even in the Conference League right now, and the club, the fans would be hurting. So the next season is pivotal for them, is crucial for them. It's not important in terms of any title winning races, but it's important to show, to give, to be a beacon of light, of hope for their fans, that for the years to come, in the next 2 or 3 years, there is something that they can look forward to.
I love how one person from Bengal has influenced the other person so much that though we just said कि we are not in Europe. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course.
Just kidding. So yeah, thank you guys for joining in. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you, Doi, for your time. And of course, like we were stuck on 98 subscribers. Please remove my so-called OCD and help us reach 100 subscribers. We are working a lot on the Indie Football podcast. We will
Yes.
try to keep on bringing you out great content. And please like, share, subscribe this video. Let us know your views in the comments and let us know how we can improve. Until then, keep on following in the Indie Football podcast and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you.